and you've dominated Emma. And the best thing is you've handed over a best bet where if it does get rolled or goes no good, it wasn't your fault anyway because it was Clayton's and you never agreed with him in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. But I will say he's a better tipster than me.
Hello and welcome to edition number 4 of Burning Questions. It's become the most important show in Australian harness racing. People are loving it. I think we've got sponsors starting to come on board. People are just loving it. Andy's decided to wear nothing extravagant today because he's sick of me sitting parked outside of him when he does. So he's just in the car with a hoodie on today, Andrew.
Yeah, no, it's pretty quiet. Thought I'd go to navy blue for my Carlton supporters that got beat on Sunday by the Swan. Sorry, Skeet.
Andy.
I'll tell you what, at least he knows you're a Carlton supporter. That's how big you've become, Skeet. When they know what team you barrack for, it means you've really made it. And Emma Stewart, you're in the barn there somewhere. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm good now. I'm over at the new place at the moment.
How is the new place going?
Yeah, it's good. We've had a couple of lots through today and yesterday, so just sort of getting a feel for it, and it's nearly finished, so yeah, it's exciting.
Hopefully we're all friends when we start now as I welcome you in, Skeet, because I tell you what, 3 of the 4 questions pertain to horses that are trained by Emma and Andy, and, you know, we're friendly now. If we are at the end of the show, that'll be a great thing because, you know, a couple of them, well, I'm not saying the kindest things about one horse in particular, and I think we probably know who that is.
Yes, I think that's probably pretty clear, and I think plenty of punters would have a love-hate relationship with this horse, probably more of a hate relationship, but no, I think it's good to see him back and looking forward to touching on him and plenty of the other runners throughout the burning questions.
There's Nikkita Ross, Andy Gath, Emma Stewart and Jason Bonnington will get stuck into burning questions, and we might as well start there to try and get it out of the way. Struve, I think I wrote in the form comment, you know, imagine you were called like in one of those Japanese horror movies and said your life depends on whether Struve wins on Saturday night, and they taped you to the chair and you had to watch the race. I don't know whether you love him, hate him, or somewhere in between, Emma, but he's certainly a mercurial customer. First up from a break, what are we going to get?
I personally love him because I know how good he is, but he has his issues. So he flips his palate every now and then, and so if he happens to do that in the run, yeah, he's really bad. So we've sort of got to try not to pull and stay quiet, and that's the best you'll see of Struve. But he's normally pretty good first up, and he's been working good. He looks good, so I'd be confident he'd save me this week.
So tell us, so you talk about flipping the palate. Has it got to do with just him and his own attitude, how much pressure he cops if he leads in a race? Like, how can we be sure? How can we feel confident that he's going to do the right thing and not get himself into a position where he frets and drops out?
He's normally pretty good first up, and you know, it seems the longer he's in work, the worse he sort of gets, and he gets a little bit sore and stresses himself out a little bit. So I think he's definitely better first up, and everything at home's pointing to him running a good race this week. So fingers crossed.
Do you trust him, Andy?
Yeah, probably first up again with M. He does go pretty well first up, and drawing the pole probably helps him a little bit that he doesn't have too hard to hold the lead. Again, you know, he's a horse you never want to back each way because he either wins or runs last. So he's that type of horse, but there's no doubting his ability. He's got, you know, great ability, and obviously he's got an issue which, you know, well, it's easy to be hard on a horse, but generally there's an issue underlying that why they don't perform at their best. So, you know, he's a quality horse, and hopefully he can have a great preparation this time, but he won't be getting any of my money.
The indications are there. Like, the evidence is there, Skeet. 10 times I think he's led in races, 7 wins, and the other 3 runs have been 4th, 9th and 10th. Now, the 4th was in a very good race won by the stablemate 4 Big Men. The other 2 he completely dropped out. I want to trust him because I tell you what, if you don't want out him in the quaddie and he does win, you're probably going to make nothing out of the quaddie. So you've got to take one position or another. Which position are you taking?
Yeah, I think all the signs are pointing towards that we have to trust him with this week. We know how quick he is, and like Emma and Andy both said, his first up record is really good. So I think we trust him, but yeah, good luck.
Yeah, I don't know if trust is the right word. I think I will be one-handing him in the quaddie and having no trust whatsoever, but I do hope that he wins. The fact that there's no pressure in that race once he leads is going to play heavily in his favour, I would imagine. We turn our attention now on the spotlight on you, Andrew Patrick Gath with Tango Tara. Already heard on Trots Talk, a little interview that your betrothed Kate did with Nims here at SEN and also Tim O'Connor. Question is, I go back through, I don't know why I spend so much time going through the Kiwi replays to find out if they've got gate speed, because you're saying no, and then they turn up with you and all of a sudden they do. Gate 1 doesn't look ideal because I can't see him having gate speed. He's been in races in New Zealand against the elite. Are you confident that he'll lead, number one? And number two, even if he doesn't lead, will it matter?
Well, I had to go through this last week with Dad and Dave, and unfortunately I didn't get him to go around. But yeah, I think quality horses just have natural gate speed. A lot of his racing has been standing starts. And in New Zealand, they don't tend to burn out the gate because they all come around and get the lead at some stage during the race whenever they want. So, yeah, you know, Plan C's pretty quick, but Mr. Bohannon sort of hold Plan C pretty comfortable when he drew barrier 1, and I'm sure Tango Tara will do the same. But if he does get crossed, so be it. You know, he's done most of his racing off the speed. We all know he's a quality horse. He's raced at the top level in New Zealand for a long time. So this is a big step down in class for him. He trialled well on Monday, but I expect that he'll be able to lead from the pole.
How good is he?
On his track work, he's just so-so, but on his race track performances, you know, he's up there. You know, you think he's going to be a pretty good 3-4 horse going forward, but we've got to overcome Saturday night first. But he's settling really well. He's well and healthy, and we're really happy where he's at.
Skeet, I've got two different answers for these. It's a two-part question. I've got two different answers. You know, like, will Tango Tara lead? I say yes. I do think it'll matter if he doesn't, though, because if Plan C does lead, then Plan C may hand up to something, and even if he doesn't, he might get crushed. So I'd be very concerned in transit if he does get crossed. But history tells me with Andy's Kiwis first up here when they've got ability, he'll somehow find the lead from gate 1.
Well, they do. Andy's horses, when he brings them over, just seem to find gate speed, don't they, more often than not? So we didn't learn anything from that Geelong trial in terms of gate speed, but I don't think it's the end of the world if he does get crossed, because in that Geelong trial, they got home in 27.9, and he seemed to get up the sprint lane and do that quite comfortably. So on that, I think he's quite quick. So I don't think it will be the end of the world if he does get crossed. However, I think he will just find a way. Good horses seem to. We saw that with Tasty Delight on the weekend. Good horses find a way to have gate speed when they need it, and I think that will be the case here.
Bloody Tasty Delight.
Yeah.
Menangle's as bad as New Zealand these days, I'll tell you what. But you couldn't tell he had that gate speed either, but he obviously did have it. You had a really long blink there for a moment, Skeet. I thought you were deep in thought, but you continued with your train of thought. Emma, Tango Tara, I mean, you've had a couple come over from New Zealand, but not many over the course of time. But we've seen plenty come over from New Zealand, and quite often, you know, if they're good horses, the old adage is if they're a good horse, there's gate speed there, and I expect we'll find it on Saturday night.
Yeah, I think so. Like, we've got a few Kiwis in our barn at the moment. We never normally do. So I think, you know, Andy and Kate have got that pretty down pat, and they know what they're doing. And if I wanted one to get out the gate, I'd definitely have Kate on it. So I'm confident he'll lead. You
know what you should do? You should put Kate on some of your horses there. Oh, that's right, you do. You put her on stacks of horses. Let's go back to you, Kate, with another, I should say, Emma, with one of your runners in Always Fast. Now, I thought his big progression occurred last preparation when driven a lot more conservatively in his races. He's almost duty-bound first up from a break over the short trip to roll forward from that gate with Soletic awkwardly drawn inside the second row. Can he be as effective? I know he's gone 52.8 over the short trip previously when leading, but is he as good a horse can he become as good a horse when he's used off the gate?
He can if he's over the short. He's pretty slick over the short, and he races better in front. I think over the longer trip and against the better horses, he's suited with the sit because he's quite fast. But you know, over the short in front, he's pretty lethal. So
we're very, very confident that he'll be winning. Once again, it's the old first up theory with your camp. They're normally 99.7% fit as soon as they come to the race. It says trial. Well, you'd be disappointed if he lost.
I wouldn't be disappointed because, you know, it's always hard first up in town. But, you know, he's trialled well and he's working good here, and we really like the horse. So I don't think he's a certainty, but I'd be surprised if he got beat.
Andy, very interesting factor of this race is there's gate speed drawn inside. Yorkshire, who hasn't been one of mine, found a little bit more gate speed last start. Van Dant, we know, can be incredibly quick off the arm. So it's going to be interesting how much work Always Fast has to do to get to the front. Once he gets there, I think it'll be all sweet. You'll get a pretty cheap run after that. But they've gone sub 27 off the gate to find the front. That can sometimes soften you up a little bit first up. What are your thoughts on Always Fast?
Yeah, obviously he's a quality horse, and his best form's always been over the short. Obviously, there's never any concern of any of Emma's horses racing first up. You know, that 100% fit. Yorkshire does hold the key to the race. He's probably quick enough to hold him if he wants to, but going to have Sir Letic on his back. So Chris is going to have to make a decision whether he wants Sir Letic on his back or whether he wants to follow Always Fast. So, but again, if you sort of found the top with not working too hard, you think he'd be the horse to beat. But again, if you don't lead, it's very tough to win these short races because they run so hard. So, no, he's a quality horse. I'm sure he's going to have a great preparation this time in, but he's probably going to be a touch under the odds in my mind.
Well, I've marked him. I don't know what he's going to come up. I've marked him $1.70. Is that poisonous?
Yeah, it's a little bit poisonous, I think.
What do you think the right price is, Emma?
Not that. No.
What do you think the right price is, Skeet? By the way, don't worry about them. All they do is train horses. We're the form gurus, okay? I've marked him $1.70. What do you think the right price is? I don't think you'll be paying much more than $1.70.
No, but I just seeing being a little bit short there too, because I think Yorkshire is the key to the race, and we saw last time he led. I know you roll your eyes, but he led, and James Herbertson said he got quite keen. So if they push him out and he tries to lead, gets fired up and keeps running, and all of a sudden Always Fast in for a torrid trip, Sir Letic's there parked on his back, I just think it could pay. Not work out in his favour. And the 9 times that Always Fast has won, he's found the lead. So if he finds the lead, I think he wins. But if he doesn't, and Yorkshire kicks up and makes him work, a whole different scenario.
I'll leave Emma out of this for a moment then, because I'm feeling a little bit bullied. Okay, I'm feeling a little bit triggered at the moment. So tell me, if you don't want the $1.70 about Always Fast, and by the way, I'm not changing the price. You get the $1.70 or you don't get a bet on. Who else do you want to back in the race? Because I think Sir Letic's the only other one I can see winning, and I think I've marked it 250. So is there something at better odds that you can find?
Probably not at better odds, but I'm leaning towards Sir Letic just because if we knew that Yorkshire was going to hand up to Always Fast, I think Always Fast wins, as I said, but I just don't know if that's the case. I think they might try and hold the lead on Yorkshire, and if that is the case, Sir Letic's the one I want to be on. Something
for us, Andy?
No, I'll just wait until the market comes out before I decide, but I think $1.70 is too short, but probably around even money's probably go, I reckon.
Hey, copy my markets, don't worry about it. It'll be exactly the same, Andy. All right, Skeeter, we'll go to you. The Sweetheart Trot Final. Now, 3 of the heats were won by horses in the trail position behind the leader, but they were, they were very moderately, the tempo was very moderate on every occasion. Are they so closely aligned, these horses, in terms of ability that positional advantage is going to be a huge factor here, or will they run this much more genuinely because it's the final and probably the best horse will win?
Yeah, I think it's going to be run a lot more genuine this week. Obviously, the heats, we saw 3 heats. They're all small fields, and they all were quite pedestrian early and just ran home the last quarter. So I think with the higher assessed horses being on the back row, we're going to see a much more genuine tempo and something to bring those horses into it. And I don't think it's, I don't think the same scenario will play out as it did in the heats.
Andy?
Yeah, with the heats too, they were sort of graded as well to certain ratings. So obviously, the higher rated horses are all off the back row, and the lower rated ones off the front row. So, but I personally think the winner will come off the back row. Not sure which one it is, but I'm sure that's where the winner will come from.
Well, there's a commitment. Not sure which one it is. He gets about half the field off the back row here, and I tend to agree. They were pretty moderately run races. Having said that, I found it a complete nightmare to try and assess Emma, and I kind of think to myself, it wouldn't blow my mind if the winner came from that beautiful position again. But Queen Alina are more Fratnell drawn wide off the second row. I suspect they'll run this for sheep stations a little bit more. We're only talking about $14,000, but they'll run this more genuinely, and probably the best horses, the cream will rise to the top.
Yeah, I agree. I personally like Queen Alina. I think she's a lovely filly. So I think her draw, and I think the tempo of the race will put her right into it.
Going back to the previous question, by the way, I'm not sure. I think Always Fast is over the short, yes, can be driven aggressively, but I do think down the track, Emma, would you agree, if he goes back to those longer races, maybe goes back to the Country Cups next time they come around, that he goes better driven off the pace, or is he going to mature beyond that level where he can be used off the gate more and more?
No, I don't think so. I think in those better races over the trip, he needs to be driven a lot colder. But it's so hard at Melton when you don't lead over the short. So he's definitely got to have to use that speed this week. But yeah, definitely when he's stepping up against in the Country Cup grades, he'll be driven quite cold.
Well, I don't think anybody's going to say always fast is their best bet on the program, which, that's up to you guys. That's fine. That's all good. And I don't know whether you were informed, Emma, but have you got a best bet or a best value for us on the card, one of your own or one of somebody else's?
Well, Clayton's told me this one. I don't really agree with him, but we've got Rockasaki in against Andy's horse. So I think an each-way bet for Rockasaki. She's not one of mine, mind you, but Clayton quite likes her at value.
This would be unbelievable, We got Ardent Voyager from Andy a couple of weeks ago, who I couldn't have backed with somebody else's money, was launched into and won. And now Rockasaki, I mean, you can leave me right out of Rockasaki, but now that it's been tipped by Clayton, if not by you, then I think we do need to have an each-way bet. Andy, you've had a great record so far. The trainers have been beating the form gurus in this space. Who's your best or best value for the night?
Well, my best bet, and it's also my best value, it's in the race where your best bet is, I think, is Swiss Miss. I think she was probably going to win last start before she sort of galloped. She sort of half got knocked over too. So, yeah, really good space at the moment, working terrific. And I just think she's odds, and just generally tempo in the race, she'll be storming home. So
you can expect her to be backed into $2.30 favoritism. Look forward to seeing that before the race, Andy. And Skeeter, what have you got for us? Because can you work with me a little bit? No one's doing that right now. Just work with me. Do you like I'm set to go? Do you like Orby?
Well, I tell you what I did like at the price. Race 8, number 6, Sundawn's Courage. Open $10. Well done to anyone who got that into $6 now. But this horse has been, he needs no introduction, but he's been racing consistently at that free-for-all level for such a long time, and comes back. I thought his trial was pretty good at Maryborough. They went pretty good time there. So look, if he's anywhere near 90, 100% fit, I think he goes very close and is a really good price at that.
$10 he opened.
Yep.
I marked him $2.50. Maybe they don't copy my prices every single time. So I thought it was a very good chance. I had him top tip as well. My best on the card is I'm set to go. I know she's not totally trustworthy, but it's got a funny feeling. She was luckless last start, and I think if she's able to roll to the front here, she'll be winning. But I also thought Orby was a really big chance as well. Thanks for joining us, Skeet. Well played again.
Thanks, Bont.
Before I let you go, Andy, Sanday in the first race?
Yeah, no, he's working really well, and never easy the first race to win it off the fence, as you know, but if they go hard early, be right into it.
And you've dominated Emma. And the best thing is you've handed over a best bet where if it does get rolled or goes no good, it wasn't your fault anyway because it was Clayton's and you never agreed with him in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. But I will say he's a better tipster than me. So, yeah, we'll blame him.
Well done, team. Very much enjoyed it again. That's been Burning Questions. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Make sure to join in on socials and give your opinion on the 4 burning questions that we've confronted today.